Grim Dawn, again, welcome aboard. So today I'm thinking I'm going to launch another player in hardcore, just poke around a little bit, and instead of just doing a random video with no progression, I'm instead going to start it out. Brand new character, and we'll see about just playing it until I die. Now, the one thing that is a little bit unfortunate, I have yet to sort of start finishing up characters, like finishing all the content in hardcore, which means that I can't start at elite or anything like that. So we are just having to start in veteran mode. But that's fine by me. I don't have a particularly set build idea, but I believe it's time to fiddle around with doing a little bit of storm calling. So I think we're going to be a lightning-rich character in this particular one. So we'll go with QuestySparks. Keep tabs on this and create. So let's get rolling. Look at this. Look at this awesome guy right here. Heavily equipped. Tattered rags, rusty short sword, I guess you call that, and some planks. Time to take on the world. All right, so yeah, this will be. I'll ramble on a little bit about. I'll ramble on a little bit about my phone going off in the background there. Gonna ramble on a little bit about how the game plays and stuff like that. I am not some kind of fantastic expert, esports streamer, but I have played quite a bit of this game. So, if you are just starting out in Grim Dawn, which you should absolutely be starting out in Grim Dawn, this might provide a little bit of a look into how the early game goes and how to set up a character and stuff like that. And one of the great things about this game is do whatever the fuck you want. It's got so much replayability and so many options. You'll see how I do it, and you'll probably think I'm an idiot and you'll want to do it different, and that's awesome. So anyway, here we are, QuestySparks, setting out in the grimdark world of Grim Dawn. Let's see how long this little fucker lives.
Still drawing breath, I see.
Now, I am not going to be doing a playthrough where we're listening to things and we're reading lore. I might blab on about it because I do love the world. I love the lore. I love the story. I love the setting. Everything is awesome. But we're just going to blast through it because this is mainly just about seeing how well we do in hardcore. The idea of trying to do a lore playthrough of this game is so daunting because there's so much there. I mean, I can't imagine reading through all the lore. There's actually, I did see that there are, people who have compiled all of the lore notes that you get throughout the game into a book, basically. You can download the PDF version of it. I haven't done that yet, but one of these days I'm going to delve into that. Okay, so this guy right here, he's just given us our sort of intro quest, right? Go kill the necromancer kind of thing. Very basic. It's like recognizable from any ARPG. So my own personal setup, what I'm always going to do first, I'm going to just put my weapon attack on, right? I'm going to put move 2 here just so that I have a good option to just move when I don't want to accidentally run up and slap something in the face. And get my spine broken over it. And let's get rolling and try to keep in mind that this is hardcore, although I provide no guarantees at all about my proficiency as a player. So prepare to just be amused by my likely demise. Alright. This guy here, he often is going to give you some kind of good, yellow grade item or whatever. Gave me fuck all right there, which is kind of annoying. But I'm over it already. I got myself some nice scrap metal to hit this guy with. There we go. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do right here is pretty much disregard what I just got, and I'm going to do a quick run here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if I just pop into this house here, kill the butler, pop over here, loot this asshole. We got ourselves a gun. And a gun is particularly nice Always eat your lore bonus. A gun is particularly nice when you're flimsy, you're dressed in rags, you're carrying around some planks to try to protect yourself with. Stand back, let the bullets do the work. And of course, there is in this sort of the opening areas of the game, you know, there's a two-handed weapon, one-handed ranged, and one-handed melee, so it kind of covers all your bases, so you can get sort of a rare right off the bat. Kind of teaches you a little bit about item scaling. All right, so like I said, what I'm planning to do here is we're going to go for a bit of a Stormcaller build, which means that we're going to be delving into Shaman. And right off the bat, we're probably going to want to just kind of buff these stats a little bit right across the board, physique, cunning, and spirit, because we don't want to have a lot of gear that we straight up can't use. And then in the later game, we'll probably just really be piling on the physique and as much spirit as we need to get good items equipped. We're going to start with this, but we'll be distributing points fairly evenly there just for a little while. And we are going to start out with Shaman, so this is ultimately what we're going to do. I haven't messed around with Storm Totems before, but I like the idea of it. So I'm probably going to do that. Now, there are two ways that I can go on this, though, because you can see here this modifier, Corrupted Storm. Depends on what I want to do here. And that's going to come up by level 10. I've got to make those decisions by level 10 because I'm either going to go with... Hang on, I hear bullshit. I'm analyzing my class, man. Chill. Alright, I'm either going to go with a Shaman and an Inquisitor, because obviously if I do that, Inquisitor synergizes pretty fantastically if I'm looking to sort of emphasize a lightning build. This guy's all about lightning, right? We're going to be able to, we're going to be able to buff ourselves here, and specifically use this Stormbox skill, which is just fantastic. You know, lightning tether, all this kind of stuff. Very useful. Good class in general. But the other possibility would be that we actually instead go for an occultist. Because there is some synergy here. We've basically got this lightning pet. That would synergize pretty well. We probably wouldn't be bothering with the Hellhound. And we would likely use this class to bring Bloody Pox to the table. Because this is real good times. This is a great skill. The problem with it is that if you're facing enemies which are not particularly easy to bleed out, you know, for example, something like, I don't know, a skeleton or a ghost, where I'll be honest, you know, that it is fairly reasonable to understand why bleeding isn't going to affect them that much, then this skill can actually just be a total slog. So it varies, right? But if you're talking about having a combined skill with you know, something like that lightning storm, but then by the same token, because we have the option to shift that over to vitality damage, if we're starting to, you know, focus a little bit more on vitality damage with this class, you know, we may end up going that way instead. So it really depends on what we want to do, but I think that as we go, we want to start with Shaman because it's from this class that the other two options really branch out. So this is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to slap this in here and then basically just grab Savagery right off the bat, but I'm not going to do much else. I'm just going to start pumping this up towards Mugdragon's Pact, because obviously this is really critical to me. It gives me health regen, it gives me extra health. If you look at the whole tree, it's going to give me health, it's going to reduce duration on bleeding and poison, it's going to give me pierce resistance, which is amazing, it's going to give me ether resistance, which is alright in some of the content. Gives me extra retaliation damage. That's a whole other thing that I haven't tried. We'll see what happens when this character eats shit. Maybe that's when we start looking at a retaliation damage character, because that can be pretty entertaining as well. But right now what we'll do is we're just going to set Savagery to our main attack, and off to the races. Let's just start clearing things. We're going to punch a few levels onto this guy and see what happens. And we're actually, you know, normally you would just try to run through this and go as fast as possible. But what I've found is it's actually a real pain in the ass trying to kill the Necromancer. So I'm going to try to stack some levels onto this character before I do that. I don't want to be standing there forever trying to kill that guy. It's sort of annoying. You're trying to take shots at him and he's got, you know, a dozen minions that just keep on popping up around him, so they're absorbing your bullets. You'll see. It's a pain. It's a pain, but it's worth it. So yeah, so you can see we're picking up lore notes here. Like I said, I'm not going to go through it, but the reality is that, you know, yeah, it's not exactly super innovative to have a bunch of notes that people randomly left around to sort of explain what's going on. The thing is, for an ARPG, this world is really dynamic, you know. There's a lot going on behind the scenes here, and it's really kind of cool to find out about it. See, look, we're already up there. It's great. It's really cool to find out what's going on. You know, the story of this world can get pretty dark at times. I mean, I constantly have the temptation to just do a playthrough of this where I'm like, okay, let's do, you know, 300 episodes of me slowly reading my way through through lore videos and doing stupid voices, because, you know, the world is just overbuilt. I would argue it's overbuilt. They probably didn't have to go as hard as they did, but they did, and I appreciate it. This is going to be the pattern here for a little bit, where we just kind of deke around and, you know, shoot zombies. Try to avoid getting slapped. I mean, we don't really have to avoid getting slapped, just kind of make me feel good, you know? But these first few levels are going to go real fast, and we'll get ourselves a little bit of help. I wouldn't mind running up to unlock the Briarthorn minion before we go in on that first boss. If anything else, he's just going to kind of distract the minions and give me some clear shots at the boss while I spend, you know, 20 or 30,000 rounds slowly peeling his health bar down. And that's one of the things is, like, usually, even if you are taking directly a damage ability out of the opening, which I'm really not, you know, I'm just sitting here kind of using weapon damage. Oh yeah, I always forget about this asshole. They basically give us, like, sort of a, look, the dude with skulls, he's going to be tougher. This is not representative of the experience of dealing with these skull bosses later in the game. You know, that guy right there, he's doing nothing. In the future, we're going to find that those skull bosses just really want to fuck us up. They kind of vary, and it depends on your build as well. Like, that's actually something I like about this game, you know. You can develop your build. We just gotta tidy things up a little bit. We don't really want common items at all. We'll take magic for a couple more. We'll take magic for a couple more levels, and then we're just gonna kill both of these here. We don't really need them. Oh, I should mention that too. I do use the item assistant mod. If you don't know what that is, basically what it is, it's a stash outside the game that allows me to basically just drop items into a certain stash tab, and they are looted out of the game and registered in a database that is sort of in another app. It's searchable, and it gets backed up online. So, you know, if I ever, you know, change computers or something like that and I reinstall the game, I can recover that item database. But it is separate for hardcore and softcore, so while I have an absolute Walmart full of stuff for my softcore characters, I'm still really in the early stages of building a good selection of items for my hardcore characters. So there's probably not going to be a huge amount of items, but when I'm playing here, if I ever, between sessions, go rooting through the trunk and come back with some items that I've pulled off of other character playthroughs, I will make sure to review those, you know, during gameplay. I might not rummage for them during gameplay, but I will definitely review them just so that it's easy to see what I've been up to. There we go, another level. We'll just quickly do this, and we are going to grab a level of this just to have it, just to get that little bit of health, and then we're going to start running straight up towards Briarthorn here. My favorite pet in the game, I'll be honest. He's adorable. Alright, and the other thing too is, you're not a real shaman if you're using a gun. You're a real shaman if you're chopping people in the head with a two-handed sword. You know, as McDragon intended. And basically any pants are better than these rags. So we're going to grab those as well. And one of the other things too here, you can see I'm still too low level, but I only need to be level 5 to start using these add-ons to my weapons and kit. And you want to do that right away. If you're just starting out in this game, don't sit here on top of these buffs for your weapons, thinking you got to save them. You do not have to save them. You're going to get stacks and stacks and stacks of that stuff, so you may as well have it working for you from day one. All right, now that we've got ourselves a bigger sword with which to beat the shit out of things, we're going to go and get ourselves a cluster of XP in exchange for potential bodily harm here. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to run over here. You can see where it is. It's right outside the gates of the... God damn it. Remember, don't stand in the bad. All right, going to let that poison dissipate. We're going to head over here and grab this rowboat. Just innocuously sitting here. We're going to row across the river, island, whatever the hell. We're going to head over here to Hargate's Island. Now, basically what this is, you can see these guys are level 6, so they're a little bit higher level than me. This is just like a little slightly higher level zone than that initial starting area. And you're going to get loot and you're going to get XP. Now there's a quest over here that you can do later in the game. We're not here for that. We're just here to, you know, carefully kill our way through these guys. You can see my XP bar there, just jumping. They're worth quite a bit. This is probably going to net me a level at least. And it's just a quick and easy way to do it. And I might get a couple good drops as well. I might also get killed, but you know. Confidence, right? This is actually where the potential advantages of cowardice are kind of being shown off, where I'm sitting here slinging around a two-handed sword. I could potentially just be running around shooting over my shoulder. But, again, bravery. QuestySparks is no mug. Oh, early game. Don't worry, we'll turn the world into a thunderstorm at some point, but it'll take a while. Alright, we'll just kind of run our way through here and then we'll take a look at all this crap we're picking up. Inevitably there's going to be items that are improvements in slots that we currently have some, you know, tattered rags in right now. Okay, look at this asshole here. As long as they keep dropping mending tonics, I'm willing to eat some damage. Oh, actually, and again, for people who are new, bit of a health system thing here. You can see how my my health bar has this little sort of shader over top of it here. So this is my constitution. So when you hear about health and constitution, this is what they're referring to. So basically, when I regenerate health outside of combat, which is basically just a timer, it's like if I don't take damage for X amount of seconds, then this is going to regenerate very rapidly, and my constitution will go down. So constitution is basically restored by picking up vitality drops and by eating food. And health is restored by taking healing potions or by waiting for that constitution to be converted into health during periods where you don't take damage. You see there? That's the mechanic. I have, for the most part, not really been in a scenario where I've had a character that sort of is running like shy on constitution. It seems like it's quite an abundant resource, but yeah, there's one level. It feels like it's a very abundant resource, which I'm happy about. Should actually level up here. I just kind of got a little distracted by these essentially Nagas, but you know, Grim Dawn version of Nagas. Sylph, I believe. Sylph. Alright, so we are going to continue just pushing our way over to here. Next level, Briarthorn is going to be on the table. Alright, so here is where we want to be a little bit careful. We've got a fuck ton of enemies, so we could quite easily kind of get frozen, slowed, and just beaten to death here, so we do want to kind of kite a little bit. But you can see already like where we might end up getting a second level out of this place. Nice compact little XP farm here. Okay. Now these little holes in the ground, they usually spawn a couple of waves too, so that's something you'll kind of see. These guys are throughout the game actually, or at least throughout this area. I don't think they're maybe in other parts of the game, but... we got ourselves a blunderbuss, hand blunderbuss. It's less exciting. This is an interesting thing about the game. You're always going to be in a situation where you're looking at one-handed weapons versus having an offhand. Two-handed weapons often have like really good specific stats on them, but you're always going to end up looking at it like, yeah, but what if I added it, you know, an offhand and a main hand? Like, how good would I be doing, right? And even here, like, I mean, let's be honest, kind of taking risks that I possibly don't need to take. I could just be running back and slowly pecking away at these guys with a gun. Actually, for a second there, I was kind of holding them at the door. I'm like, I wonder if this is going to work. Spoilers, no, it's not going to work. But, you know, we are eventually going to pick this pack off, and the XP bar is going to love me for it. You see some of them are starting to lose interest there. It's kind of like the kiting thing. You know, if you do have a pack in the game that's just giving you a lot of trouble, specifically you're probably going to notice that a lot like on monster shrines, where you run into a pack that's just a little bit too strong, or potentially you're dealing with enemy effects that are, and again, you guys are going to see this for sure, but you run into guys who have maybe some effects that you can't deal with, like somebody's maybe got like a hold effect that's just pinning you down and someone else is punching you in the dick. Like, you basically, this kiting is super useful, because basically if you back off, you're going to eventually lose the interest of a couple of them. But the ones that you're actively attacking are kind of going to stay interested, which means that you can split a pack up, right? They're not all going to stay aggro to you all the time, but they also heal at just the normal regen rate. So you're not losing a ton of ground. Like, if you let them walk away with a bit of their health bar missing and you get there, it's going to be slightly less missing, but, you know, they're still going to be wounded. You're not really giving up your effort. So there is a bit of tactics that you can employ. A lot of times you're not going to need to. It's just this early part of the game where it feels really clunky like this, where we're just kind of like, you know, struggling to stay alive essentially, because we're so flimsy. Later in the game, you know, we're going to light up everyone, and it's only going to be sort of specifically dangerous encounters where we're still feeling sort of threatened by common mobs like this. In fact, we're almost never going to feel threatened by common mobs. Yeah, I rethought that. We are still going to feel threatened every once in a while, because some shit is just dangerous. Okay, there we go. We are going to pop him right over here. Actually, you can see the weird bindings I have. May as well get that out of the way. So back when I was a young lad, started my woodworking career. 2 years into my woodworking career, as a matter of fact, I managed to run my left hand through a table saw, and like fingers went flying and shit like that. So it was largely reconstructed, but I'm missing a couple of finger joints and stuff on my left hand. So where everyone else is wasting it, I actually basically have like sort of a custom binding that I use on the numpad, because it's what I can get my shitty fingers around. So yeah, so that's why I have like a crazy binding. I will say it would work for anyone, but it's kind of a necessity for me, so. Oh, by the way, yeah, here's my dude. And now that we've got this guy, and we've jumped a couple levels up, it's time to basically make a beeline for the first boss of the game here. Because basically, our whole starter town, our stash, everything is buttoned away behind the boss kill here. So we're going to go and take care of that right now so that we can access services. All right. Just continue harvesting the XP out of these guys. It's very inefficient getting our XP squeezings one at a time like this, but we'll ramp it up. We'll ramp it up. Burial Hill. The friendly local cemetery, which of course, in true ARPG fashion, is now disgorging hordes of drooling undead. And ether crystals, incidentally. So yeah, so this game has some pretty interesting shit going on. Like basically, not really spoiling anything to say that the Grim Dawn is essentially an event which comes down to an invasion by you know, extra dimensional beings essentially, and it's the gist of your character as well, where you are possessed by one of these things, and that's what they do, right? So they have no physical form, and so they've got to take on, they've got to kind of wear some flesh. They've got to wear like an Edgar suit. And you were one of those Edgar suits, and so basically the townsfolk caught you because you were possessed, and they hung you. But the spirit, the ethereal that was possessing you, kind of realized you were about to die and got the fuck out of there. And we're going to meet somebody who helped to save our life by realizing that we were in fact no longer possessed. But conveniently enough, those waypoints that we've been activating, those are rift gates, and we have a relatively unique ability to fuss with those, and that comes from the fact that we had an ethereal in us for a while. Now, for most people, having an ethereal in them, death sentence. They're not coming back. They're all done. And so that's why we are a little bit rare here, and that's why we have the opportunity to go on to be kind of a badass in this world. Alright, so here we are. It's about to tell me the source of the dead is near because we are in the first boss chamber of the game. And there's actually a little bit to find out in here, but let's go meet this asshole. Alright, so this is the Reanimator, Kaizog the Reanimator, incidentally. Now, he is basically straight up, you can see he's kind of a flesh Hulk kind of nonsense. This is an ethereal, right? This is how you're going to meet a lot of them through the game. It's not how you're going to meet all of them, because obviously they can also just kind of, you know, possess some handsome chap like myself. And you will meet some of those guys as you go through the game. But this is kind of more common, right? It's more common that you're just going to meet some kind of flesh Hulk with a bunch of crystals sticking out of their ass and face them. But as you can see, the difference between trying to do this yourself and doing it with your buddy, the Briarthorn here, is just night and day. You definitely want that guy with you. Okay, so we did also ding there, so let's just slam down another level here. And let's actually take just a second to see if we've got anything better going on. Technically, yeah. So you can see at this level, offensive ability here, it's pretty straightforward. It's your chance to hit, chance to crit. And it's based on the last guy that you fought, which of course was the boss, which means I'm scrabbling at him, no chance to crit. But you can tell it's not that high. So, you know, even just slapping like 9 and 4% on there, it's actually pretty good. So we're just gonna go sell those. Everything else that we have is not particularly exciting yet, but you know, we'll start getting cooler stuff soon. So actually that's really good. Just random stats. Random stats are always quite useful early on in the game. Like things like resistance and stuff, you don't really need them. It's a little bit early for that. But yeah, just getting that kind of stuff is pretty handy. Okay, so the next thing, like this, we're going to run with this, and we're just going to struggle our way through on what we are, and we're just going to start blowing points in here. We're going to throw a few levels into getting ourselves to Wendigo Totem. This is the next hotness that we want to pursue. This is kind of one of the pivotal things about having a shaman for your build. They are highly durable, and they can extend that durability to other allies, including your pets and stuff like that. It's one of the things I would always recommend. Like if you like pets, I mean everybody likes pets. If you like minions in games, I'm going to recommend that you build yourself a ritualist, which is a combination of a necromancer and a shaman. because necromancers are great swarms of hideous undead that you're constantly having to re-up. If you combine it with this, the Wendigo totem is going to keep your minions in the fight a lot longer, and you're just going to do a lot more damage. Once you advance it to Blood Pack, they start to have life steal, they start to do more damage, they start to have more resist. Like, Shaman is a great base for any kind of pet class. It's just the way it is. Now we are on 30 minutes, but I'm gonna show one more thing here in this cave before I call it, and that is to just run over here. And just one more thing, if you haven't played before, here is the other absolutely kind of key character development mechanic, which is these little shrines here. So we're just gonna, slaughter the locals. Well, re-slaughter the locals. All right, so these little shrines that you find through the world, they usually require either a fight or they require you to leave some kind of offering. We're gonna leave an offering and clear that shrine, which gives us some kind of drop, a little bit of XP. Don't really care about that. What we do care about is it awards devotion points, and devotions, to give you a little look around here, are a big part of customizing your character. And essentially this is a secondary tree that gives you not only passive abilities, buffs, both offensive and defensive, but also socketable special abilities. So basically, you can see throughout this, these are essentially abilities that you're going to socket to active abilities that you have, and then these can proc off of those abilities or just load up on experience off of them and level up through the ranks. Really cool system, and it's basically what lets you build characters that that just stack effects upon effects and just light up the screen with tons of interactions and devastation, and it's highly, highly entertaining. In this particular case, because of the nature of being me, I didn't really think anything out ahead of time, but what we can do is essentially do a quick little search here for lightning damage, which is something that we're going to want to do a lot of. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can go, because we might also want to, if we choose to take the bloody pox and lightning, we would end up wanting to take a lot of these abilities over here that give us vitality damage and bleed. Twin Fangs is a really great one right out of the gate. Gives you a nice little way to proc some attacks that give you some really awesome lifesteal, stuff like that. In this particular case, one thing we might want to do, a little bit of elemental damage couldn't hurt anyone. One thing we might want to do is switch our search initially over to pets, so that we can see where we're gonna get something that is good for both of us. So Shepherd's Crook is probably an okay place for me to start, because this is going to just give me some straight up health, and it's going to give my pet some straight up health, right? So you can see here, it's going to give me some stats, it's going to give me some more health, it's going to give me some resistance and some resistance for my pet, some more health, and then it's going to give me Shepherd's Call, which is something that I can socket to an attack that will just basically give me a bonus to my offensive ability and my pets a straight up bonus to their damage and crit damage. This is not a terrible place to start out. The other good thing about this is that this is also non-binding. There are ways to rebind all this stuff either completely later in the game or by piecemeal, using in-game currency, iron biddies, and just paying a seer to help you with that. So we are going to target this, which basically means we're going to have to unlock that purple, which is Ascendant, and that'll let us get into this. And you can see here, we've got other pretty good pet bonuses as well. This is targeting bleed damage, which we may do. I mean, man, I might lean over towards that occultist idea, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, there we go. So we've got a devotion point in. We're level 7. In 3 levels, we're going to be picking that second class, so I better start thinking about it. But right now, we've got what we came here for. We're going to head back to town just before we end this one. Slightly longer first episode here to get going. But now we can head on over here to John Bourbon.
The dead attacks have slowed and their number. A creature was doing this? I need some time to
Yeah,
plan
man.
a strategy. In the meantime, there
Creature
are
was
others
doing
around
this.
Devil's Crossing
Okay, so there we go. Like, right, that's basically the tutorial out of the way. So we're going to basically do what he says here. We're going to go talk to the locals and start helping them out. Now, there's a bunch of different side quests that we can do here, but there's a couple that are key to sort of advancing him along. We're going to talk to this guy. He wants me to track down and kill some townsfolk that are undead, you know, sort of like Flanders was a zombie. This guy here, he wants an ether crystal, and my reward there is 1 skill point, as he teaches how to extract a bit of power from that. That is not something that we're going to be able to do. It's not like we can just convert these into skill points, though that would be nice. But it does give us just a little bit more advancement in the direction of this sweet, sweet Wendigo totem. All right, and we can continue rooting around here. Probably the next thing that we're actually going to do is this guy's quest right here. We need to pick up some scrap metal. Now, I could just transfer that across from my other character where I've made a little bit more progress, but we'll do it. We'll do it in game here. All right, and this is it. Welcome to Devil's Crossing. We'll continue to pick up quests here. And we're going to basically every lore note we can because of that sweet XP. Now, this particular character back here, the quest is just to talk to her. She's the one who stopped me when I was possessed by an ethereal. Basically, she's also the one that saved my life, so there we go. You look at how fast this is adding up, right? Isn't it great? All right, and over here, the last thing I'm going to show you before I call this one, here's our smuggler. Smuggler is basically managing the stash. Now look at this empty motherfucker. But if we go up here, again, empty, but with a trick. This particular stash tab right here, if I take an item, for example, this gun, ooh, it's been looted. That means that is out of the game, and it's into that item assistant database, right? This is, let me emphasize, it is strictly not a cheat. It's a bigger stash, it's a bigger stash that is outside of the game. I'm not modifying anything. If I earn items in game, they can go in that stash. You cannot stash quest items. And like I said, split between hardcore and softcore, so you can't cheat the system that way. It's just a great way to organize and back up your stuff so that you don't have to start from scratch in a game that has thousands of items for you to find over time. This blue ones here, these are the shared between my characters in the game. So again, we're not cheating the system there either because this is designed to allow your characters to trade with each other. As you can see here, I haven't bought any more. I don't need to on account of the item stash. When I want an item back in game, I do that from the app and I bring it over here and it pops back in here and will be sitting there waiting for me. I will be showing you guys whenever I update my gear using that system. And then over here I have my in-game stash. This is basically where I keep all of my potions and all of my crafting materials, all of my add-ons for weapons and gear. And the reason I do that is basically just so that they are easy on hand and I have my stash set not to accept stuff that is stackable like this because I really don't want to be accidentally throwing my stuff in there and having to try to get it back because you can see there's just hundreds of items. Now here's a couple cool things. Tonic of Reshaping, this resets my attributes. You're going to get these throughout the game, but also later you can buy them. They're basically locked behind some rep grinding that we're going to do with factions. This is if you want to just rebuild your whole character right off the bat. And this one resets the devotion points. I was telling you about that earlier. This lady that we talked to over here, the one that saved our life, she's actually going to let us do it on a more granular scale, right? So we can talk to her. Basically, it gives us this display here, and we can basically pay her straight across in iron bits to reclaim skill points straight from our tree. You fuck something up, you could just reclaim it. Same is true here. You want to reclaim this, costs you 25 biddies. You got your point back, you can redo it. Obviously, if you want to completely reshape things, you're not going to want to do it that way. You're going to want to use a potion. But in any case, we have run a little bit over time here, but that's the intro to this character. QuestySparks is going to be a hero. I can feel it now, and I will see you next time where we continue to try and survive in Hardcore Grim Dawn. Thanks for watching.